Good morning, Hidden Agendas. I hope you are well. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is Friday. It's the end of another week. TGIF, it is Friday, the 26th of September. Now, the last time we streamed, on Wednesday night, we talked about Mu, and we have some Mu winners. The Binance Square Mu winners are still to be paid out. We have some winners on Binance Square from last night's show, and we are going to pay you out. But what also happened since Wednesday night is the market decided to dump. And now everybody out there is fearing for their lives. We have people running around screaming for $50,000 Bitcoin. We've got people with their head in their hands telling you that it's the end of the bull run. It's not. It never has been. And if you just look at the data, you will be fine. Okay? So the title of the show today is Get a Grip. Okay? Which is maybe a northern expression from the part of the world that I come from in the UK, which means shake yourself down. Relax. We've got a lot to talk about today, so I'm not going to spend too long on this. We've got a few X-Files. We're going to talk about the down. We're going to talk about the liquidations. We're going to talk about more ETFs going live. We're going to talk about a website that I told you about on Tuesday that I said I would put into the next show. And that is a way to track all-time highs. How far are your coins away from all-time highs, and what are the chances of them getting back there? We're then going to talk about My Cadena, which for those of you who are old enough maybe remember the song, Sharona. We're going to talk about reversing course and Circle. We're going to talk about Plasma, the new layer 2 that's gone live. I got a really lovely airdrop, actually, on Binance yesterday of tokens, which was really nice. It's probably about 5 times what I normally get. And then we're going to talk about South Park. South Park, I don't know why in this woke generation it hasn't been cancelled. People haven't gone after it, but who cares? We're going to talk about South Park as well. All of that in 1 hour. Now, I don't know where everybody is. That's the next question, because chat is empty. So if you are here, say hello and hit the like button, or say hello if you're on Binance Square, say hello and hit the follow button. Because we're going to start doing giveaways every week on Binance Square. That's why we've started to include the word in our title. And the reason we're going to do Binance Square giveaways every week is because if you watch on another channel, we do quizzes where we give away lots of crypto. I think we give away somewhere between $200 and $300 a month, which might not sound like a lot, but it is an awful lot to give away. So the Binance Square people, you can't take part in some of those giveaways. So we're going to start basically taking your user IDs and doing a giveaway every week, which we will then announce on Binance Square. So that's just to make it fair for the Binance Square people out there that are watching. But I can say what I want today because literally there's nobody here. There's literally nobody here today. So I can say what I want. And hopefully Packer will get this message as well. I have got your message, Packer. I just caught the beginning of it. It said, I don't know if you're going I always take a while to catch back up. Right, let me just boot this up. And then we will get going. There we go. Okay, let's have a quick look at the charts then before we carry on. Yep, okay, just making sure the stream's working. Bitcoin coming in just under $110,000. It's down another 2% in the last 24 hours. 7-day, it's down 6%. But look at Ethereum. Look at Ethereum. It's below $4,000. It's down 13%. Maybe Ben Cowan, who's been right all along, maybe he's right all along. Who knows? XRP back at 275. Solana back at 196. The coin that I'm interested in here is Cardano. It's just lost 80 cents. Hype is back at $42. Now, I made a video. No, I didn't. I did a live stream on Binance Square a couple of weeks ago. And I gave you a price target for what Hype could come down to. And that price target, believe it or not, because it sticks in my head, was 42 to 44, which happens to be my t-shirt size. That's why I remember it. $42 to $44 was a buy zone for me for Hype, and we are coming in at $42.40. So if you wanted to get a piece of the Hype action, and I'm not buying any Hype, but if you do want to buy Hype, that is a good price to buy it at. Chainlink at $20 is a good price to buy Chainlink. A lot of these coins are at good prices, and that's where I think there is a massive problem with your so-called influencers. And I've just been watching one now before I came live, and it's, is this the end of the bull run? Are we going to go down? Are your coins are all going to get wrecked? Maybe they're not going to put in all-time highs. It's all over. This is the same influencer that was telling you that we were going to get the blow-off top in May, and that was going to be the end of the bull run. So you've got to be careful who you listen to. And I'm not saying I'm an expert. By all means, there's 100 different people out there way better at what they do than me. But I just follow the patterns. And until the pattern breaks, I follow the pattern. And the pattern is that October, nearly 13 years out of 14, Bitcoin goes up in October. So if we're going to have some downtime, when do you think it's going to be? It's going to be the last week of September, the 23rd to the 30th. That's when the downtime is going to be, because come the middle of October, not October the 1st, but come the middle of October, we're going up. Now this is a bit of deja vu, because I said exactly the same thing last year, and I said exactly the same thing 2 years ago. You pack your bags in September. You pack your bags, you get the crypto that you want to own in September, and then you ride October and November. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the bull run goes into next year. Maybe we have a bull run that runs to March or runs to June, like all the so-called experts are telling you. Or maybe we stick to the plan and we have the blow-off top in November and December. Either way, these are the prices you buy your coins at. If I said to you 3 weeks ago, would you like to buy a $3,940 ETH off me when it was at $4,900? What would you do? You'd snap my hand off. If I offered you a $190 Solana when it's at $240, $250, you'd snap my hand off. Okay? Of course you would. Same with XRP when it was back at $310, $320. If I said you want a $2.70 XRP, you'd snap my hand off. So what are you doing panicking about the prices? Look at what we've had this year alone, the bull run year. We've had multiple times where we have wicked down. Remember the tariff war? Was it in May? We went to what, 79? Did we go to $79,000? And everyone was panicking, everyone was flipping, everyone was going on, it's the end of the bull run. People were telling me it was all over. And I said, what on earth are you talking about? What are you talking about? And what happened? We rallied $30,000. Don't buy the hype. It's all basically there to sell clicks. What are the two things that make you read or watch or do something? Fear and greed. They even tell you here, the fear and greed index. It's fear and it's greed. What do you do when everybody is fearful? You listen to them and you sell. And what do you do when everybody's greedy? You buy. You've got it the wrong way round. You buy fear, you sell greed. Buy fear, sell greed. What did I say when Crow hit 35 cents? Take profits. What did I say when Bitcoin got to $124,000 and everything else was moving along with it nicely? Take profits. You take profits. Look at Arthur Hayes, the so-called genius. He sold his Ethereum at what, 4,002? And then it went to 4,007, 4,008. And what did Arthur Hayes do? He bought back in. And what's the price of Ethereum today? 3,940. So what should Arthur Hayes have done? He should have stuck by his goddamn morals. That's what he should have done, but he didn't, did he? He got caught up in the FOMO, and that is greed. You stick to your morals. You're always going to get a chance. It's like playing Man United. You might be 1-0 down to Man United, but you know they're always going to give you a chance to score. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Cardano, they're always going to give you a chance to buy them because there's always going to be pullbacks in the market. Always. Even in the bull runs. We were saying at 124,000, 120,000, Bitcoin comes to the bull market support band at the beginning of the last leg up. And then we might not touch the bull market support band again until March. We had it 2 weeks ago when I said, is that the bottom? We wicked to the bull market support band. I haven't checked, but I think we've done the same thing again. Now, we've wicked to it, and we didn't fall below it, did we? In fact, we're hanging out at a really good price now. Now, if we're sitting here on Monday morning and we're at $103,000, we can renegotiate this cycle, okay? But let's just not absolute go into blind panic and think that you've got to sell your entire bag of hype or your entire bag of Ethereum yet, okay? Let's just calm down a little bit, shall we? Who is in chat this morning? Bullish Bully's here and KB is here and Shantanu is here. Yeah, there is some great news coming out about the Hype ETF, which is, again, going to push it high. One thing I want to say, again, Aster and Hype. Last weekend, I bought Aster. I don't know what I bought it for. 130, I don't know. And then I woke up Sunday morning, it was at 185 or something like that. So I sold it at 185 and it came down a little bit. I think it came down to 150 or 140. Now it's gone on again. Do I care that it's gone to $2? No, because I made, 40% while I slept. That's all I care about. This rivalry, this clan war between Hype and Aster. How many banks are there in the world? Thousands. How many massive banks are there in the world? 20? Maybe 10? Okay. How many massive versions of Hype are there out there? 1. So in an expanding market, you're going to get competition. Pump.fun is going to get competition. Jupiter is going to get competition. Everybody gets competition. Look at how many exchanges there are. How many really good exchanges are there in the world right now? 5? Maybe? 10? Really, really good crypto exchanges? So if we can have 5 or 10 massive crypto exchanges, why can't we have 4 or 5 massive versions of Hype? Of course we can. Okay? Now maybe, yes, there's less volume on them because more people use crypto exchanges, more people use banks. I get that. But it's an expanding industry. You're never going to have an industry that expands with one massive dominant player that stays that way forever and a day. Even Chainlink, which dominates at the minute, it's got Pyth on the horizon and there are others. And maybe Chainlink does become the Cisco of Web3. Maybe. And it controls 95% of the market. I don't care. But what I'm saying is there's always room for other players. So whether you're on the Aster train or not, I don't care. Whether you're on the Hype train or not, I don't care. You shouldn't care about the other side. Okay, don't listen to the narrative of one against the other and CZ against Hype. Just forget about it. Just move on. If you want to, hold both of the coins. You're not married to Hype. You're not married to CZ unless you're his wife, okay? It doesn't matter. You're not a traitor for holding Aster and holding Hype. The way some people act, you know, people who hold Solana, people who hold Ethereum and people who hold Bitcoin, they're like little clans. They fight with each other. Oh, you've got fake transactions. Oh, well, nobody uses your chain. I mean, how old are these people? Grow up. To the outside world, you look like politicians just crying over nothing. Grow up. If you want to hold both of those coins, there's nothing stopping you. It's your portfolio. It's your race. You do what you want to do. Now, I've had my rant. That's out the way, okay? I've had my rant. Let's go and have a look at the 24-hour bloodbath. I mean, the 24-hour gainers. Plasma is up. I've got some plasma. I got it off Binance, which is a very nice airdrop. Didn't expect that. Mantle is up, Casper. Kronos, look at that. Rising from the dead. Quant is up. Ether, Monero. I don't know. You know what? Monero is like that. It's like that. I can't say the word because it's probably quite horrible, but it's like that little tiny insect that just won't die. And it just won't die. And I'm not a fan of Monero. I never have. If you go back over my videos, I've called it dead multiple times. Losers, this is where you're going to see a sea of tears. Okay, scoop up those tears, mix them in, make a cup of tea. Avalanche is down. Aster is down at 191. Pudgy is down. Now, there's probably going to be some of my coins in here. Dupe is at 43 cents. It was at 55 cents last time I looked at Dupe. Again, 43 cents for Dupe. It's an absolute steal. But I say this again all the time. There's a disparity between the value of a project and the value of its token. And you need to understand this. When you look at a company like Jupiter, ask yourself, is it overvalued at 1.3 billion? Or is it undervalued at 1.3 billion? And then look at the price of it and say, what does Jupiter do? Well, it's probably the unicorn of Solana. Solana is what? The fourth biggest blockchain in the world behind Bitcoin, Ethereum. Can't really call XRP a blockchain, can we? Suppose we have to. So it's the fifth largest. So is the largest unicorn on the fifth largest chain, is that a valuation of 1.3 billion? I think not. I think it should be higher, maybe 5. So you can look down here, and we're going to look at this in a bit when we look at the how far these coins are from all-time highs. And you can kind of try and cherry pick some of them out. BNB has fallen drastically down to $950. It got a real nosebleed over $1,000, I must admit. How it stayed above $1,000 for so long, I don't know. It's like Gary Pallister in the 90s. Once he got past that halfway line, he'd get a nosebleed and a headache and a migraine and he'd faint. But every once in a while, he'd score a goal. That's BNB at $1,000. I think it ran on a really good bit of bullish momentum. But listen, holding 950, I think that's an incredible price for BNB. As I keep saying, I was buying it at $200 a year and a half ago. So there's a lot of gainers, there's a lot of losers. It's just a choppy market. Don't panic. The roller coaster of crypto. If you've never been on the roller coaster of crypto before, you don't know where the exciting parts are and you don't know where the dips are. Just sit back, hold on to that railing for dear life, and just ride that cart. Just enjoy it as best you can, which is hard. And I know KB and the Oracle were talking last night about how low Bitcoin was going to go. And I did say to them both that they're both going to be fed to the bears, because I will feed them both to the bears. I have absolutely no problem about that. Right then. Odds of Bitcoin dropping below $100,000 by year end now sit at 50% according to traders on Kalshi. Year end below 100,000 is possible if we top at the beginning of November, because the start and end of the final boss is 8 to 12 weeks. 12 weeks from the very bottom to the top, back to the bottom again. But you're not going to know that you're meeting the final boss until phase 2. So that's why it's maybe 8 weeks, because you're going to miss the first 2 weeks. Because maybe the first 2 weeks is Bitcoin getting to 120,000. So you've got 4 weeks up and 4 weeks down, roughly. Now, how high can we go in 4 weeks from 120,000? 140? 150? If you look at what happens in October, we go up 20% on average in Bitcoin. So where does that put us right now? That puts us at 132,000 for October. If we then get the final boss, the final version of the final boss, 150, 140, I mean, where else are we going to go? Where else are these people that you watch on crypto Twitter, where are they telling you that we're going to go? Because if we want to go to 200,000, 250,000 or whatever rich dad, poor dad decides to roll a dice and spew out of his mouth on a daily basis, then that's going to have to be March, April next year. We reassess that. If we don't have the blow-off top in November and we go into December, then we need to reassess where this blow-off top is going to be. But as it stands, 140, 150, I don't see where we go from that. Now, if we do that, and let's say it's the first week of November, that gives us 7 weeks on the way down. And then maybe we run into January near 100,000. I don't know whether we go from 150 to below 100 in 3 or 4 weeks, though. That's a bit of a tall order. But if the cycle is elongated, and again, I don't know. They are saying they know, but I don't know, and they don't know. If it is elongated and we don't get that blow-off top in November, and it does go to March, April next year, then maybe we do have a subdued 100,000. And there's a lot of things that can go wrong between now and then. Don't forget, we can have conflict. We can have pandemic. We can have any of those other words that can create a black swan. So never say never. And I would say a 50-50 chance is probably about right. Now then, this is... I try very hard, okay, and you have to understand where I'm coming from. I try very hard to focus on facts, okay, and one of the things that you need to do in life is focus on facts. Now, the facts that you focus on differ from person to person, okay, so if we take this statement, for example, I don't believe we shall ever have good money again before we take it out of the hands of the government. We can't take it violently. All we can do is by some sly, roundabout way introduce something that can't be stopped. And that is Friedrich Hayek, who is one of the fathers. Okay? Now, we can go and look at Friedman. We can go and look at any economist that you want to talk about. And we can look at the facts. And the facts are that if your government prints money, that is the reason that you have inflation. They print money. The more money in circulation, the more things cost. And the reason of that is supply and demand. Now, he is correct. The only way to get around this is to do something sly. And you can go back over time. You can go back over 40 years, 50 years. There have been many, many examples of where towns, a good one example is, I think it's Bristol in the UK, tried to introduce its own currency and it failed, okay, because it's not really a big enough area to have that kind of currency. They then brought in something which is basically like an eye for an eye. So you clean my windows, I'll bake you a loaf of bread. And then the tax man decided that he was going to tax in-kind benefits. So every time a country has tried to do something, or every time the citizens have tried to do something in their country, the government has found a way to stop it. Another great example is the Isle of Man. The Isle of Man about 10 years ago tried to introduce Bitcoin as legal tender. And the UK government turned up, can we have a word, came in. If you introduce Bitcoin as legal tender in the Isle of Man, we will cut you off from the banking system in the UK. Good day to you, sir. And off they walked. So every time somebody's tried to do this on a micro scale, it has failed because the government can control it. You can look at a digital ID, you can look at a CBDC, you can look at any other type of currency, and it will always have a central control. And the only way you can get around that is to create an uncensorable, decentralized cryptocurrency, which is Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin has its own flaws. I don't know if any of you have noticed the conversations going on about creating a Bitcoin council to roll back transactions and all these kind of things. That's the biggest threat to Bitcoin, is that somebody gets control over it. That is a threat. More of a threat than quantum physics. But this statement here will be correct today, will be correct in 50 years' time, and will be correct in 100 years' time. The same way you can go and read George Orwell, and he will be right today, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 20 years in the future, and 40 years in the future. Because there are things that happen in life that are just simply human nature. And that is what is important for you to understand, that your government is almost solely responsible for your financial predicament. We should move on, because this is about crypto, not really about tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. We should ignore all of them. Next. Okay, this is a big one. Thanks to Chaser, I'm going to use his tweet on this. There was 1,000 other tweets. I did actually do a live stream on Binance Square on Tuesday. What day did I get my really bad? Monday did it, because I got my migraine afterwards. So my limit, I can't do 2 live streams one after the other because I get a migraine, okay? So I did this on Monday and I covered this. But good morning, Tariq. You haven't missed a lot because I haven't even got past the intro and it's 25 minutes into the show. I probably bored everybody to tears. So, Maple has gone live on Plasma. What is Plasma? Plasma is a stable coin blockchain. It's a layer 2. It's been set up by Tether. And what's important here is that the stable coin legislation in America doesn't allow stable coins to pay a yield. Why? Because they are trying to protect their banks. Why would you have your money in Bank of America earning 0.5% when you could go and put it into Tether and earn 6%, 5%? So they're trying to protect their banking system. So they've banned yield on stable coins. Absolutely fine. Maple Finance has a product called Syrup USD. There is USDT and USDC versions, and this one on here is USDT. Now, this is a very important statement. Syrup USDC is not a yield-bearing stable coin anymore. It is a dollar-yielding asset. Okay, there's a big difference. So we are no longer ever going to call Syrup USDC a stablecoin because it's not a stablecoin, okay? And according to the Genius Act and the stablecoin legislation, it's not a stablecoin. So why is this super important? Because this is a $1 trillion blockchain. If you want to know the next big blockchain, and you've got one over here called Noddy, and you've got one over here called Bonkiar, and you've got one over here called Catster. No, Plasma is the one, okay? Plasma is going to process trillions of dollars a year. Now, the funds that sit on there, the idle funds that sit on there, need to be locked up to earn yield so they don't devalue against inflation, all that kind of stuff. So they've chosen Syrup as the yield-bearing stablecoin because it pays 6.5%. You can get it on Binance, by the way. You can also get Syrup on Binance. And obviously, Syrup needs to add liquidity to that. So Maple needs to add liquidity. So they added $200 million and it was sold out in under a minute. It was gone in 60 seconds. Literally, Nicolas Cage is all that comes to mind when I talk about this because it was gone in 60 seconds. Trillions of dollars are going to go through that blockchain, okay? And it has a token. I don't know what the token is. XPL is the name of the token, maybe? But go and check that out. And again, we would have talked about this if Maple were or were not involved with it because it is a big deal. It wasn't a massive deal when I talked about it a few weeks ago because I still thought it was pie in the sky, but it's a reality. Let's move on then. Now, this is going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. Bitcoin crashes to 108,000 as Ether hits 7-week low with 1 million in longs liquidated. I love people that check their articles before they put them live. $1 million in longs liquidated. Wow. Do you mean $1 billion in longs liquidated? I think may. Jai. No. Okay. Yeah, it was 1.7 billion on, was it Tuesday or Monday? Can't remember which one. Got liquidated. And then yesterday, I think there was what, $600 million in liquidations, of which half of that was Ethereum. So basically, the start of the week, it blew out Bitcoin. Yesterday, it blew out Ethereum, even though Bitcoin did come down a little bit. I don't care about this. We're still holding strong. For those of you that watch me on a regular basis, 104,000 is the number in my head. We need to hold 104,000. That number's probably safe for now, unless another third wave attack comes. I think there's data coming out today, but again, I don't know if that's going to bring it down or not. So Bitcoin retraced a little bit. We do have to get back up to some levels. We got rejected off, I think, 114,800, 115,000. So we've got to get back above that level. The top of that range is 118,000 or 119,000. We're in the same range. We're above the bull market support band at the minute, but we're very close to it. And all I would say is, as I've been saying for the entire stream, get a grip. Okay, get a grip. If we were having this conversation in December or January, I would be in a more bearish frame of mind. Instead, this isn't even a flesh wound. 108, 109, $110,000 for Bitcoin, with an all-time high of 124,000. We're a sneeze away from all-time highs. We're a week or two away from all-time highs. We're 2 green candles from all-time highs, and people are worrying. What are you doing? Okay? Now, I did say Ethereum broke 4,000 and never looked back. And we did. We got 4.42, 4.4, 4.6, 4.8, 4.950. I thought we'd come down to 4.2. I think at one point I said the very, very bottom would be 3.8. And I don't know where we did come down to on Ethereum. But that was just what happens. We've had outflows. I don't want to talk about this too much because I know it's painful. But don't worry, okay? I am here to be negative when you are all being greedy. And I am here to be positive when you are all fearful. Because human emotion goes from side to side, but the facts stay in the middle. And that's why I was saying before, facts are the most important thing. Look at where we are, 109,000. Look at where Ethereum is, 3,900. If I said to you 3 months ago, we'd be 3,900 for Ethereum and 109,000 for Bitcoin, would you have taken that? Probably you would. Would you have taken an 80-cent Cardano or a $2.75 XRP? Probably. So why are you all worried? You're all excited when we hit these prices, and then we go higher, and then when we come back to the same prices you were excited at a few months ago, you're now unhappy. It's the same price. The SEC unlocks XRP, Sol, Stellar, ETF Goldmine with this decision. The SEC's new rules reduces the case-by-case review from 270 to just 75 days, serving a break point for blue chip altcoins. Now, this is something which we now have to take on board and reevaluate, because this is a fact. Okay, we talk about hairy-fairy emotions a minute ago. This is a fact. It took an awfully long time to get an ETF. It was like 6 months. And that's why I was saying we needed to get the Ethereum, the Solana and XRP ETFs approved in March, April, so we'd have them by October, based on the rules. The rules have now changed. We have different rules. So if we have different rules, we play the game differently. We need to reassess the time frames now for all of these ETFs. Okay, and there's what, 300 of them now or something like that? If we've got 75 days for the application to go through, you've basically taken off 6 months from this. 6 months and a bit. So, is this a scenario where if they start popping through in November this year and October this year, is this a scenario where it could push the bull run into next year because all of these ETFs are going live? Maybe. But as far as Solana and XRP is concerned, this is bullish, because once Grayscale converts its trust into its ETF and we see the sell-off on XRP and Solana, then we might have enough gas left to go back to those decent prices, which is $600 to $1,000 for Solana. That's still a long way away. XRP is a little closer at $5 to $7. That's more likely. But if we get this ETF, then maybe XRP goes to $7 to $9. But again, XRP is a massive market cap. I still think $5 to $7. At $6, I'm selling my XRP. I think I said that a few days ago. So this is great news. This is something you want to keep an eye on. It's also good news for a lot of the top 10 coins. And again, I reiterate this point as well for people who might not have been here before. An ETF-based crypto portfolio really isn't the worst idea. So look at which coins are going to be added to ETFs right now, not in 12 months' time, where you've got a KB ETF and you've got a Tariq ETF and you've got a Kishan ETF and everybody's got an ETF that you get them free with your cornflakes. I mean, right now, what have these companies decided are going to be the best blockchains to add as ETFs? So get a list of all of the ETFs that are currently being applied for, and that is a play. That is a portfolio. And the reason for that is the men in suits have decided they're the coins they want to try and sell to their clients. So maybe it's not a bad play. Maybe that's not a bad play. It's not a play I've got, but it's not a bad play. Now, I'm moving on a little bit quicker than normal. Right, this is the website that I normally use. And I'm not using it anymore because this is blinding me, okay? I have a light shining in my face, and then I look at this and it's blinding, okay? It's got orange text on a white background. And I thought, I can't sit here and do this stream. But for those of you that want to go and check out the OG website that I've been using all along, it is called coingolive.com. I've got no affiliation with them. That's why I use them. Now, I managed to find a more enjoyable to view website for you guys. And that is this one, which is, believe it or not, on CoinGecko. And this is a far nicer... Is that the right thing to do? Have I pressed the right button? There we go. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see the screen very well there. What this page does and what the CoinGolive page does is it shows you the current price of a token, and then it shows you the all-time high price of a token, and then it shows you the percentage away from all-time highs. Okay? And that is all it does. And it shows you the all-time high date as well. Just give me a minute. I need a coffee. So, this is going to be a bit hard to explain because it's not hard and fast rules. Good morning, Danny. I hope you're well. Okay, so I think you can see everything on the screen. I can see it on when I look on here. So, we're not going to go through them one by one either. This is not a register. I'm not checking that you're all here. But let's take... Woo! Nice refresh for me. Let's take Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin is 11% away from its all-time high. So, almost 10% from its all-time high. Now, we can go down here. And the first one that you should notice, if you look at the size of the bars, is Doge. Doge's all-time high is 73 cents. I've got an itchy foot. And then the next one you'll notice down here is Cardano, which is a $3.10 all-time high. Out of the top coins in here, they are the two I am worried about the most for getting back to all-time highs this bull run. Now, Dogecoin, I think, is utter trash. And every time I slag off Doge on X, people come at me and say, well, it's got all these different nodes and it does all these different things. I don't care. I don't care. It's done nothing. Nobody ever talks about it. There's no articles about it. It's crap. It shouldn't be there. Okay? If Dogecoin met a singularity tomorrow and then not only disappeared but nobody ever heard of it again, I'd be happy. So Cardano is the next one on there. Now, my target for Cardano this bull run is $3 to $5. And that is based on the fact that since Cardano last hit this price, which was 4 years ago, it has also emitted, created, or not created, added more coins than were here in 2021. And the same goes for Solana, and the same goes for lots of these coins. The market caps are higher, but there are more coins in circulation. So that's why my price target for Cardano is so low, $3 to $5. And people say, oh, but you've got $3.10 was its last all-time high. Yeah, but look how far we are away from its all-time high. We're a long way away. So you can go down here and you can say very simply, are they going to break all-time highs this cycle? Bitcoin, yes. Ethereum, yes. XRP, yes. BNB already did it a few days ago. Solana, absolutely. $293. It's going to break $300. We're going to ignore Doge because it's a pile of crap. Tron, again, knocking on the door. It's only, 20% away from its all-time highs. So you can use this and then use this against your portfolio. That's what I'm trying to get at. So there are plenty of examples that when we start to go out of the kind of the top 10, you start to see things like this. People buying Avalanche because it was $145 in the last bull run is not the right reason to buy that coin, because it's not likely to get back to $145, okay, because it's so far away from them. Chainlink, believe it or not, at $52 is still a challenge, okay? I do think it will go north of $80, but that's my conviction. It might not. Maybe it only gets back to all-time highs at $52, but I think it will get there. Now, we can go down and we can look at other coins. Are we ever going to see a $3,785 Bitcoin Cash? No, of course we're not. There is one on here which I wanted to show you, like Polkadot. Polkadot, I can tell you right now, will be lucky to break $15. Its all-time high was $55. So you should probably... Where's ICP? That's the one I'm looking for. Where do we think ICP is going to be on here? There it is. Okay. ICP is 99.4% away from its all-time high. This is the one I wanted to get to. Right. Its all-time high was $700. It got to $700 because Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX pumped the hell out of it, sold the top, made a load of money, and absolutely dumped on ICP. ICP's reputation was ruined for a very long time. People have been calling it nasty names ever since. Now, if you're a beginner and you look at this list, you might decide that you're going to go and buy all of the coins that have the furthest left to go to get to their all-time high. That's what you might decide to do. And that is a terrible idea, because these all-time highs of the 95% away from all-time highs, 90% away from all-time highs. I've said it before, not every coin is going to go back to all-time highs. Now, Litecoin, which I'm going to look for because Tariq's in chat, I don't even know where Litecoin is anymore. Are we in the top 20 still? There we go, Litecoin. Okay, look at Litecoin. $410. I think in a good run, we're looking at $300 max. Max, maybe $250, okay? That isn't all-time highs. But the all-time high is from 4 years ago, where Litecoin was probably in the top 15, maybe in the top 10. So you got to be careful. And when we talk about, there's more coins now than there was 4 years ago, that is correct. But still 95% of them are trash. So we can ignore all of them. But what we can say is, since 2021, what really good projects have come about since 2021? And there are some good projects. We've got down here, where has it gone? Hype. We've got Hype. Now again, I'm not buying this coin, but it's appeared in the last 4 years. You can go down, you've got Sui. Sui launched when? 2.5 years ago. Sui's brand new. We can go further down, we can find Ton. Ton coin has been around for, a year and a half. That's a new coin. So when we talk about competition for volume, it's not, there's 2,000 or 20,000 more coins. No, it's there are 5 to 10 new projects in the last 4 years which are going to take the liquidity, which are more shiny, and maybe have a better business case than Litecoin. So if I asked a poll question now that said, would you buy Hype or would you buy Litecoin? I'd hazard a guess the majority of people would say Hype. If I asked people, would you buy Sui or would you buy ICP? I guarantee the majority of people would say Sui, because it's front and center in front of their eyes, and everybody keeps telling them it's going to go to $1,100. So you've got new coins with more attention competing against your old coins, and your old coins have got to do something. And if we take Chainlink, for example, Chainlink is an old coin. All-time high was 4 years ago, but it's holding on. It's at 20, got it to $25. It's got to half of its all-time high. Why? Because Sergey, his face, his beautiful little face and beard are everywhere. When was the last time we saw Tom Lee talking about Litecoin? When was the last time you saw somebody on TV talking about Avalanche? So they've got the attention now, and you need to get in on that. So Litecoin needs to do something with real-world assets or AI. They need to do something, and they need to get it into the press. But CoinGecko has the crypto prices of all-time highs. I've gone on way too long about this, but I was just trying to labour the point that you need to go and look at this. It's really important that you don't just buy everything that is as far away from its all-time high as possible, because I am telling you now, 50% of tokens are not going to go anywhere near their all-time highs, in the top 50 that is. Not all of them, but I'd say 50-60% aren't going to go near all-time highs. I don't even think Kronos and Crow are going to go near all-time highs. I keep saying 60 cents. I've been saying 60 cents all along. Let's get to 60 cents and reevaluate. But bear in mind all of the news about Trump, all of the news about the ETF, all of the news about Trump Media owning the token, all of the news about Truth Media using Crow as rewards tokens. All of that got it to 38 cents. And I know it's not the time, October, November, yes, but still, how do we go to $1? How do we go to $2 when we can't even break 50 cents? Cadena exec warns not all assets are fit for tokenization. Now then, what have I been telling you forever and a day? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Okay? Simple. Just because you can do something doesn't mean it needs to be done. And that I am wholly on board with. He explains why real-world assets like private credit are a better fit for tokenization than equities. There he is. You see, again, Cadena, in an article, being interviewed, face front and center. So Cesar Pereira, Vice President of Business Development at Cadena, believes tokenization will transform the way markets operate. We know about that. In the most simplest terms, tokenization is nothing more than taking an asset and digitizing that asset and representing that asset in a digital token format on the blockchain. Exactly. People get overly excited when they hear about stuff like this. Okay, but look at Kindle. What did it do? It digitized a book. Look at Spotify. What did it do? It digitized music, which was already digitized, but it digitized music and put it on the internet. Look at Netflix or Amazon Prime. What did they do? They took films and then they put them on the internet. They made digitized versions of those films. And all they're doing here with stocks and everything is making a digital version of it. Now, yes, there are massive differences, of course, because stocks go up and down in value, but that's why the likes of Chainlink and the oracles, they exist for this reason, okay? I'm not an idiot. But the point of the matter is, you can overcomplicate things. And I think this is a really good explanation. Digitizing an asset and representing that asset in a digital token format on the blockchain. Okay, that is the that's the takeaway, the token away, right? From gold and real estate to bonds and private equity, he noted, literally we can tokenize just about anything and represent it in digital format. And again, he's probably going to go on and talk about here about other things. Not asset makes sense. Despite the excitement, Pereira was cautious about tokenizing stocks. Just because you can tokenize something doesn't mean you should tokenize something, he said. Equities are a very mature marketplace. I really don't see a benefit beyond potential 24/7 trading. Okay. Now again, I've fallen out with him. I've fallen out with him based on that. Okay. When you're rich and you live in an ivory tower and you can pick up the phone and you can call your trader broker friend and you can say to that trader broker friend, can you go and buy me $50,000 worth of stocks? And that trader goes and does it for you. Then you don't need to worry about this. Of course you don't. But let's say you're Tariq and you've got $50 and that's all you've got. Okay, you've got $50 left. You've got no broker friends. You've got no way. You're not allowed to use Robinhood. You're not allowed to use IG, for example. What does Tariq do? How does what Caesar say, how does it help Tariq? I tell you why, or how it doesn't help Tariq. Do you know what helps Tariq? Having tokenized equities on Solana. Why? Because Tariq can go and spend $50 buying Tesla stock on Solana, and he will pay 2 cents, 3 cents, and maybe a tiny spread. Okay? So when somebody with a lot of money says, I really don't see many benefits beyond potential 24/7 trading, read into that the same way that woman stood there and talked about how poor people suffer with a $20,000 handbag in her arm. Okay? This is why we have problems in the world, because people don't understand what it's like to be poor, because they've never been poor. And when you have Solana getting absolutely barracked by every other blockchain because it's a scam chain, and then when I sit here and I look at it using facts and I can see that Tariq has $50, let's say Tariq wins $10 on a quiz from us. We give him $10 on Solana, which doesn't cost him anything to receive. There's no bank fees. And Tariq takes that in his wallet and he goes and he buys $10 of an AI stock, which Tariq loves. And that $10 becomes $100. And then Tariq takes that $100 and puts it into something a little bit more mature, like Apple stock. And let's say Apple stock goes up 200 or 300% in the next few years. And suddenly Tariq's got $300 worth of value that this gentleman doesn't see any benefits to, because this gentleman is in an ivory tower and has never had to worry about money. That's the difference between the right people and the wrong people. And up until he said this, I was completely on board with him. And now I've fallen out with him. The same way, if you're in Africa, guess what? You can't have a bank account because I don't recognize your address. So how do you earn a living if you're in Africa? You don't. And then crypto comes along. And I go to a shop and I buy a bottle of Coke for 50 cents and I pay on the Lightning Network. Doesn't cost the shop owner a lot of money, doesn't need a bank account for it. Guess what? He's made a trade. He can then take those 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents, adds them all up, goes and buys more bottles of Coke, maybe buys a tin of paint, maybe buys a sign. And suddenly, 5 or 10 years down the line, he's got a real shop made of bricks and mortar. People like this, who say they don't see the benefit, are coming from crypto from completely the wrong angle. It should be that anybody, anywhere, with any level of wealth should be allowed to have the same access to do the same things that rich people in suits have been doing for years. And that's my issue with stuff like this. And I'm going to move on again because I think I've probably absolutely run out of time. Should we have a look at... Actually, how long do we have left? I don't want to overrun. 7 minutes left. That's because you keep writing the answers down wrong, Tariq. Right, we're going to skip through a few of these things. Plasma we've covered, even though it's on the board. Right, again, something else I don't have a problem with, and I'm probably going to find something to find fault with, is this. Okay. The crypto in your wallet is not yours. Okay? The crypto in your wallet is not yours. Unless it's Bitcoin or Monero. It's not yours. If it is USDT, if it is USDC, if it is some other coins on Solana, if it's some other coins on Ethereum, they're not your coins. Circle mulls reversible USDC stablecoin transactions in push for TradFi adoption. I have no problem with this. Believe it or not, I have no problem with this because we know what Circle is. We know what Circle is, we know what Tether is. So why are we making bones about it? Many crimes have happened over the last 2 years in which Circle and Tether have both frozen the assets within the MetaMask wallets or whatever wallets that person's been using and those funds have become null and void. Circle has done it, Tether's done it, every stablecoin has done it. Also, there are what are called blacklisted wallets. So, for example, and I'm sure Maple don't mind me talking about this, Syrup USDC, I think it is on Solana, a few of the DeFi platforms on there, they block certain wallets from accessing those funds. And they do it because those wallets have in some way been associated with some kind of criminal activity. Now, as long as that's all it is, I'm happy with that. But there is, of course, always going to be government overreach. So you have to bear that in mind. If you want to be completely censorship-free, you should probably hold Bitcoin on a ledger. That's pretty much what I would suggest. Yes, you can use Monero, but I don't like it. But you can still use it. If you've got USDC, they can freeze it. Now, do I think they should be allowed to reverse transactions? Yep. Because it's their token. And they make no bones about any of this, so why should you bother? If a blockchain started to reverse transactions on everything, I'd have a problem. Because then we're back to the traditional problem of chargebacks. So Tariq spends an hour in my company, and I charge Tariq the $50 that I've just given Tariq, and I charge him $50 for a video, or not a video, for a one-to-one session. So Tariq sends me $50, and it's sitting there in my wallet, in USDC, for example. And then I say, basically, don't buy anything, Tariq. You're not mentally capable of understanding how crypto works. Go and buy Tesla stock. And Tariq says, I don't like you. You're really horrible. I'm going to go and put a chargeback in against you. And then you go to Circle and say, service not as advertised, which is what you would do in real life. And Circle, 99 times out of 100, will give you your money back. Now, I'm not saying that they're ever going to end up in that situation. I'm not saying it's going to go that deep. I'm not saying it's going to happen for individual users. Maybe it's only going to be for bank transactions. Maybe a bank says, sends the money to the wrong address, whatever it might be. I get all of that. But that's where it could go with AI. Of course, AI comes along and anybody can claim anything back. So as long as you're aware that this can happen, go for it. I've got no problem with it. Nobody said that USDC and stablecoins were censorship free. Nobody ever said that. And I'm sure there will be a stablecoin at some point in the future that will be a censorship resistant, transaction reversal resistant, assets freezing resistant. I'm sure there's going to be one. Now, South Park skewers prediction markets in latest episode. How long do we have left of this? I've enjoyed this stream today. Sorry, Tariq was talking about the fact you only got 2 questions wrong. I know. The problem with the Mew quiz is very simple. We cannot find enough individual questions to ask about it to make the quizzes different. So when you've done 4 or 5 of those quizzes, you probably know the answers back to front. But ask yourself this question: isn't that the purpose of our quiz? The purpose of our quiz is to get you to understand Mew. So if we've got 25 people playing the quiz and the average number of correct answers is 27 out of 30, haven't we done a good job? If this was a classroom and I sent you all in for an exam and you all got 27 or 28 out of 30, I'd be the best teacher the world has ever seen, wouldn't I? So the point isn't to catch you out and make it, Tariq gets 17 out of 30 but wins because nobody else knows the answers. The point of the matter is, we want you to know that Mew is on Solana. We want you to know that Mew is on Binance Alpha. We want you to know that Mew has a circulating supply of 88.89 billion, all those things. We want you to know that. So if you all get it right, we've done our job. Anyway. Thank you. I did put some nice tweets out, actually. I put one out, which, you know what, I'm going to bring it up because I don't think Tariq's seen it. I'm going to bring up a tweet at the end. So basically, South Park has been knee-deep in making crypto predictions for a long time. They talked about Bitcoin for a long time. The conspiracies around South Park are absolutely fantastic. Their predictions, Donald Trump becoming the president of America is probably the most famous one. But they've done an awful lot more. The Dome is another one that they've come up with. So basically, if you've never seen South Park and you've got thick skin, go and watch South Park. No, The Dome. Was The Dome South Park? No, it wasn't. The Dome was The Simpsons. That's right. The Dome was The Simpsons. And Simpsons have been doing the predictions. They've got the completely wrong end of the stick. Maybe South Park are moving into the predictions market with this. So the animated series kicked off its 27th season by ripping into cryptocurrencies and politics, with its most recent episode setting its sights on prediction market apps. Anyway, we don't need to go about that. There we go. Anyway, we'll move on. I want to show you this tweet while I'm here, because it's a Friday and it's 12 o'clock. And I basically want to bring this up because there's a few of you in here that aren't on crypto Twitter. And there's a few of you in here, excuse me, there's a few of you in here that didn't probably see it in Telegram because you don't watch it. But I want to bring this up, okay? Because this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. And it's important to me that you understand why we do what we do and why we do it in a way that we do. So we're not going to show you that because we'll get kicked off Binance. That's quite an interesting one. So basically, if you've never seen The Crow, great film. There's a great line in that film where he says it can't rain all the time. Okay? When you think that crypto is just going to go to zero, just remember, nothing goes down forever, nothing goes up forever, especially in a market like this. This is something which I'm not going to tell you anything about. Okay? Just let you know that something is coming soon to Binance. But the thing I wanted to show you, God, I tweet a lot, don't I? God almighty. Right, where is it? Amplify. It must be just before this. Okay, so you are going to see some names on here, and I did this after Wednesday night. And the reason I've done this is I'd rather have 20 or 30 people watch this stream that I know than 500, 600 people who I've never met before. I don't know anything about them. I don't know their names. And it becomes an anonymous stream. Okay? And I wanted to prove this point. So I thought, I'm going to name one thing about the people that watch these streams on a regular basis. Not every day. I don't expect you to watch every day. But people who watch these streams and I've interacted with. And of course, Tariq, funny guy. Kishan, 100% Bitcoin, 100% positive. Now, I've tried to do this correctly. Danny, 100% real, hardworking, and is going to make it in Web3. Okay, maybe that's an endorsement. Mary is scary, funny, and fast. Packer keeps me motivated. He sends me messages on YouTube quite a lot. Kabir, everyone needs a bear. Even us, we need a bear. Mags is our Portuguese legend. KB, our charts are safe with him. Solo Sky is always learning. And Itachi, Tito, and Shantanu are new future OGs. And there are lots of other people mentioned down here that I didn't include. I didn't want this to be my favourite people. I wanted to just pick people, first people that came to my head. So there's other people like Simon that come in here, I haven't mentioned on here yet. But basically, I wanted to do this as an exercise to show that we know who you are, and not. You see all these people, and it's one of the most cliche things, and it annoys the hell out of me. Okay, I'm going to go into full screen now. You see these people, and they come along and they say, "Oh, our community is the best community in the world," and that's what they say. And they say that, but they say it anonymously, don't they? They say it anonymously. They never mention names. They say, "Oh, we've got the best fans in the world, or we've got the best viewers in the world, we've got the best team in the world, best community in the world." Have you? You never name them. You never like call them out on your streams. You never say, "Oh, Kishan's here again. What a great guy." You never get that. Occasionally, from time to time, I will see one of the guys I watch who talks about football. He will do that. He will say, from time to time, such and such is in chat. And the reason I wanted to bring that to your attention is that we could easily do what everybody else does, and we could hype the hell out of everything. We could accept every deal that comes along, everything that we get. We could just take it on board. We'd have so much more money than we have now, but we don't. Because at the end of the day, it's like when you've got an animal on a farm. Say you've got a sheep on the farm and you give it a name. It's very hard to kill the animal, okay? When you name your community, it's very hard to dump on them, because the real people at the end of this camera, you're probably less than 3 foot away from me, but still connected via this camera and via your phone or your computer. And everybody I see on the internet, especially streamers, they don't get that. They don't get it. They just see you as a number, as people that watch. Oh, I've got 50,000 viewers. Give me $100,000. And people don't see you as real people. And that post that I put out there was simply a message to say that we see you. And that's all it was for. It wasn't for airs and graces. I didn't tag anybody. Most importantly, I only tagged Danny and I tagged Kishan. That was it. I didn't tag anybody else. Because I don't want to bring attention to you. You might not want people to know that you watch us, all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to put that out there. And I know a lot of you out there probably didn't see it, which is fine. That's why I'm bringing it up now. So if you get a chance, go and have a read. Or if you're not mentioned on there, it's not an offence. I didn't mean to offend you. It's just I just wanted to pick 10 people at random. And that's what I did. So anyway, have a great weekend, all of you. And I will see you on Monday. We do have quizzes coming up next month. I don't know what the order is yet. I think it might be Maple next. Maybe. I don't know. So we've got Maple. Then we've got Wolf Swap. And then we've got Mew again. And there's going to be a break of a week in between. So we'll see how we go. I'm not streaming, by the way, actually. Another thing. I'm not streaming on Tuesday. I've got an eye appointment at 9:30. And I don't know if I'm going to be back for 11. And I don't know. They put drops in your eyes and you can't see. So I can't really say I'll do it at 12. Because the drops in the eyes, they expand your irises and you can't look at light and all that kind of stuff. So I'll see you all on Monday anyway. Have a great weekend. Thank you all for showing up. I appreciate your support. The Oracle appreciates your support. And we will see you on Monday. Oh no, the Oracle will see you tomorrow night. But I'll see you on Monday. Take care.